Hello, everyone. It's time for Van Chicagoland Stories, the podcast. I'm your host, Pete Costanas. This is episode 331, season 14. Today's date is May 21st, 2024, and welcome to the show. On today's program, I'm going to talk about this man. His name is Robert Cromie, or Cromie. I think it's Cromie. Yeah, Robert Cromie. And he was a TV host and reporter for the Chicago Tribune. He was famous for two TV series during that time, in the old days. Book Beat, which aired on PBS, on Channel 11, WTTW. Also, The Cromie Circle, which aired on WGN TV, Channel 9 in Chicago, late at night. So I will talk about my memories of him and a little history about this person, because he led a fascinating life, and I found it very interesting. And I used to watch him when I was a kid. I never stopped thinking about him, because I was amazed by him. Second, I'm going to talk about something unusual. It's the pencil erasers from the Frito-Lay company, where the brand Fritos Corn Chips came from. It has an interesting history, and I'll talk about my memories of having those. And for example, Frito Bandito and WC Fritos and more. So should be fun. Right now, the program will go into a commercial break. And this program is brought to you by Sunshine Chippy Chews Cookies. Oh, to tell you the truth, I never heard of these, and I found the commercial. This commercial aired in the 80s. Not sure what year. And it's from the Sunshine Baking Company. So sit back and relax, and I'll be right back with the program, folks. Thank you.
Sunshine on a cloudy day. Mix it into cookies so good in every way. The Baker Man can. The Sunshine Baker Man can.
New Chippy Chews cookies are sunshine baked with a difference. Lots of chocolate chips and a real fudge filling.
And who makes Chippy Chews soft as can be? The Sunshine Baker Man can. The Sunshine Baker Man can.
Okay, everyone, I am back. I hope you enjoyed the commercial for Sunshine Chippy Chews cookies. They were chocolate chips in them, a lot of them, like that stuff inside. They had a chocolate chip kind from the Sunshine Baking Company, which is Chipperoos. Chipperoos remind me of Chips Deluxe from Keebler and from Chips Ahoy from Nabisco. I've had these, and also that came out of the same company was the most famous product, was Hydrox, and they're like a clone of Oreos, with the chocolate cookies with the cream center. I had those when I was a kid. And, to tell you the truth, Hydrox was not as sweet as Oreos, because I love Oreos. I can eat a whole bag of them and go crazy like that. But Hydrox, they were discontinued. Then they came back, and then they returned. And I don't know if they sell them now. I have no idea. But a lot of people want them back. So we'll see about that. I think I talked about them in a previous podcast episode. I'm not sure. Maybe. So one product is still around, but it's not under the Sunshine Company, is Cheez-It. Or they had that. And they had other things. They had other products. I can go on and on for that. Anyway. So I'll do a recap of what I've talked about. And at the top of the program, I'm going to talk about television host Robert Cromie. Also, I'll talk about these pencil erasers from the Fritos corn chip brand from Frito-Lay Company. Before I get started, I want to mention a couple things. One, tomorrow morning, I will go to my oncologist and see what he says about the results of the radiation that I had done a few weeks ago. I feel fine. I feel no pain. I don't know what he's going to say. All I know is this is what I know, that when I took a blood test at my regular doctor, the PSA fell. So hopefully you will receive, my oncologist will receive the results from my regular doctor and see if that was the cause of that the radiation is gone. Or it could be the medication. And we'll see what happens. Maybe take another blood test, a scan. I don't know. But I hope it's encouraging because, I've said this many times before. It's been a roller coaster for me when it comes to my health, and going to doctors, going to appointments, hospitals, you name it, like that. And, I had surgery last week. I'm recovering, but I'm doing all right. I'm doing okay. I hope to resume walking. I hope so. It's a little hot today, but we'll see. But slowly, get some fresh air. Slowly, take it easy, like that. You know what? Second of all, someone sent me an email a few days ago, and he says, why are you talking about stuff off topic when it's about Chicago that's no longer exists? Because, well, look, yes, it is about Chicago that's no longer exists, but the part of the podcast is my memories of things that don't exist that are included, things I had when I was growing up, things I saw on television, heard on radio, read in a newspaper that does sort of involve with with Chicago. Most of it's Chicago related. I understand, in my group, in my page, I tried to restrict it, but it depends on the subject. It really does. So also one thing, people always ask me, well, sometimes I don't approve their posts on my group. A number of reasons. One is it's repetitive. I see the same ones over and over again. So has other people, and they don't want to see that. They want to see something unique. People don't bother to scroll down and look, and like that. And some say, "Why did you take this down?" and all that. One, somebody makes offensive comments. Two, I don't want anything controversial in the group. I know it's mostly Chicago history, like, for example, Al Capone, Maxwell Street, politics. I know it's historical. I understand that. I really do. I want to post it. But, we live in a world today that is a little crazy, and people speak their minds without thinking. And they just, you get the idea, because they can't stop talking. And it's, especially in politics, it's just nuts. So I'm trying to keep it clean, I've said this many times before, many, many times, and people love it. They want that. If you want something controversial to see or watch, turn on your TV and watch the news. Go ahead. Don't dump it on me. I don't want to see it. I watch the news too. I like to keep informed, but I don't want it in my group. Like that. And so people just won't be quiet. It's hard. It's really hard, because I tried to approve people that are legitimate and their posts are interesting, So I apologize. So that's the way it is, If you have a message, just send me and I'll explain. Most of the time people accept it. They said fine. It's like others are like, nah. It's the First Amendment. Fine. Do it someplace with your First Amendment. Okay, so this is my group. I'm the admin. I run the ship. Okay? You want to start a group? Be my guest. Go ahead. Do what you want. Okay. Now let's get started on the fun stuff. Excuse me. So I'm going to talk about Robert Cromie. I remember watching him on television. He hosted 2 TV series in Chicago. One was called Book Beat. And he would, that first one, he would interview people that, authors that have written books. And I remember briefly on Channel 11, and it was like the set was like in a library, and there was like there were books all over on the shelves like that, and it was very interesting. It looked like Masterpiece Theater in a way, or like in Family Classics. In the beginning you have the bookshelf with all the books, all the volumes. That's what it reminds me of. I remember Robert Cromie seemed like a very nice man, very articulate. He spoke very well. And he would, like I said, he would interview authors, and that show ran from during the 60s. And I'm sure he interviewed controversial people like that, but mostly books that were bestsellers during that time. And people were honored that they were invited by him, and they would discuss, and he would make notes in the book. Of course, he would autograph them, from what I've told, like that. And so I do remember that. There's no video of this show. I wish there was so I can watch it because I found it fascinating. Okay, so that aired on PBS on WTTW Channel 11. I think Monday nights in the evenings. It could be repeated like that. So, it's public television, so no commercials. Now they got commercials. So, the second TV show he hosted was The Cromie Circle, and it was a talk show. And he hosted that. That ran from 1969 to 1980, and it aired on WGN-TV, Channel 9 in Chicago, and late at night. Not during the day. I doubt it. I don't think so. And it aired sometimes Sunday nights, I believe, right after the 10:30 movie. I used to watch the 10:30 movie on Sunday nights, like the gangster movies or like old-fashioned movies like with Clark Gable, Joan Crawford, Betty Davis, a lot of Westerns on that. That was cool. And it would air like maybe 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the morning. I mean, I don't know how he felt about that. This program aired, but I watched a couple of times, and I was like, I was mesmerized by watching him and what guests he had. He interviewed, and he also interviewed celebrities, not authors, just celebrities, authors, anyone in the medium, and it's fascinating. And they all sat together in some circular couch. That's probably why they got the circle, and that lasted about not an hour, sometimes an hour or 2 hours, with commercials. And there is an episode on YouTube. Well, actually, one or two. There are two. Actually, there's one that's the full episode. It's courtesy of Rick Klein from Fuzzy TV Memories, from the Museum of Chicago Television. And I watched that. That was fascinating. I like that. It aired in 1979. And that was a good show. That really was. And I remember the commercials when I was a kid, and they showed the circle with his face on it. So I'll give you about his biography real quick. Okay, so he was born in Detroit, and then he came to Chicago, and he was a war correspondent for the Chicago Tribune. He did that. And he wrote, he had a column in the Chicago Tribune. And let's see what else. So he was a reporter as well. So that was it was interesting. That was very interesting, like that. And so here it is. So he was born February 28th, 1909 in Detroit, Michigan. And then he graduated in college in Ohio, majored in Spanish and history. And then he joined the staff of Chicago Tribune in about 1942 or something like that. Yeah, from 1942 to 1946. So then when he returned to the U.S., when the war was over, he wrote a sports column. And, he was a big Chicago White Sox fan. Sorry, Cubs. And he probably wrote books himself. I think he did, And so, and then he wrote, and then he continued. Then he started writing a column in 1969, and not with sports, just about sort of an opinion, to do that. And sometimes he was a good interviewer. He really was, and he found him. He made his guests very comfortable, so that's good. That's good. He did that, and then he retired in 1974. He did that, and he was also on the radio, and he worked on WBZ, National Public Radio, and then. He did that for quite a while. And then, let's see. So the show was called About Books and Writers. So that was the name. So that was interesting like that. And, there was nothing controversial and like that. So the first host of Book Beat was a man named called Edward Morris. And then, Robert Cromie took over like that. And then Robert Cromie passed away on May 22nd, 1999. He was 90 years old. And so my condolences to the family. So I guess he lived a long life and a very rich life, that is. And wow, to be, hosted 2 TV shows, served in the war, wrote newspaper columns, be on the radio, et cetera, like that. So that's great. That really is. Okay. Next up, I'm going to talk about those pencil erasers from the Fritos Corn Chips from the Frito-Lay Company. This has an interesting history. I remembered these when I was a kid, and I was so fascinated by them. I really was. I don't know. So I'll give you a history of that really quickly. Fritos is a brand of corn chips that was first created in 1932 by a man. His name was Charles Elmer Doolin. And it's been produced in 1961 by the Frito-Lay Company. But they started in 1932 in San Antonio, Texas. And then I guess they were bought out like that. And so they're still around. And I remember, when I was a kid, I went to Correas Elementary School, that private school. I had Fritos for lunch. My mom used to put them in my lunchbox, my lunch bag. I love Fritos. I haven't had Fritos. Well, I had Fritos about maybe a few months ago, and they're still delicious, but it's kind of not healthy. but it's delicious. I love them. But I used to eat them all the time when I was a kid. And, I used to share them with other kids at school like that. I would give them a handful like that. Yeah, I love corn chips. I really do. So anyway, they started with the erasers. And this is about the time they started doing those from the late 60s. Okay. And they had two mascots. No, actually three. They had three. Okay. The first one was the Frito Bandito. I remember when I saw this on television, he was a bandit, a Mexican bandit with a sombrero with two guns in his holsters, two guns in the holsters like that. And he spoke like Speedy Gonzales. No, not really, but Speedy Gonzales was not a bandit. He was just sneaky like that. And the voice was with Mel Blanc. He did all the voices of the Warner Brother cartoons. Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, you name it, all of them he did. He was a extraordinary man. And he spoke broken English, and he robbed people of their Fritos Corn Chips. And there was some controversy because there were some groups that didn't like his portrayal. It was it was demeaning. They have a point, they really do. And so he was there for about a few years, like from 1967 to 1971, 4 years. So when I went to grade, so first grade, second grade, I remember seeing them, and I saw the erasers. One time I was in school, in class, I saw a couple of kids, we were taking tests, and, we brought our pencils in, and they had the erasers on top, and I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at them. Some were different colors, green, blue, yellow, pink, light blue like that. And I go, red, of course. And I was fascinated. And I asked one kid, where'd you get that? Where'd you get those? And they said, oh, we got them from a bag of Fritos. They came in like in a 6-pack or, a pack of corn chips. Ask your mother to buy them. I said, okay. So I asked my mom at the time, and she said, oh, okay, because she's going to put Fritos in my lunch anyway, and she did. And I was excited, and I got an eraser. They were a little hard to erase, because because once you erase them, the Frito Bandito, his face disappeared, or his sombrero drooped like that. So anyway, so like I said before, it was very controversial, and they dropped the character. Yeah, they dropped him. And so they had another... the company mascot, he was designed by a television company. It was called Keats and Herndon. He did that. And, he was, like I said, he was dropped by... because of complaints, and he thought he was racist like that. You can find commercials of him, of the Frito Bandito. Remember one episode of the Dick Van Dyke Show where Richie Petrie he wore a sombrero and a poncho, and Buddy Sorrell, played by Morgan Amsterdam, says, "You look like an ad for corn chips." So he must have seen that. Anyway, so he was replaced by Munch a Bunch. It was a group of cowboys. They weren't there very long. They were, I guess it wasn't very popular. And then after that, they got another one modeled after comedian W.C. Fields. A lot of people... I remember him. A lot of people don't, but younger people don't. But I used to watch his movies all the time on Channel 9, Channel 32, Channel 44. He was a great comedian, And his name was W.C. Fritos. think that's what his name, like that. And he would talk like the character would talk like W.C. Fields, and of course he had an eraser too. Also the Bunch, and that's very rare, that group of cowboys. And I did get the W.C. Fritos eraser, during where I was at school. But then they discontinued, and I don't know when, probably about mid-1970s. And then, the product moved on. And to this day, Fritos is a very popular product, good snack. It really is. But I was just amazed by, it's like, this is something for school. This is for the kids. And, they created the Frito Bandito. Who knew they would get a lot of backlash from that? It's, but now when you look at it, people kind of cringe. Yeah, I don't blame them like that. But that's okay. We got YouTube to thank, so that's okay. Anyway, right now I'm going to play a commercial of WC Fritos, not the Frito Bandito. I'm not going to play that. No. Play WC Fritos. It's from the early 1970s, and you would hear him speaking like W.C. is. Oh, yeah. That was funny. Okay, so here's a commercial for Fritos Corn Chips featuring W.C. Fritos. And when I come back, I'll wrap up the show. Okay? So sit back and relax, and I'll be right back, folks. Thank you.
W.C. Fritos here with a free offer. And specially marked 6 packs of Fritos brand corn chips. An autographed poster of W.C. Fritos. Ah, yes. Hang it in an appropriate place of honor, like over your frog collection.
You can get your free W.C. Fritos poster in specially marked 6 packs of Fritos corn chips.
Yes, indeed.
For a limited time only.
Okay, everyone, I am back. I hope you enjoyed the commercial for Fritos Corn Chips featuring W.C. Fritos. Like I said before, it was controversial, with the Frito Bandito and all that. At the end of the commercial, I remember much corn on Fritos corn chips, like that. So, So that's a nice memory from my childhood. It really is. So back then it seemed so innocent to me. I was a little boy. I didn't know what's going on. But when I'm watching TV back then, I'm figured, what happened to Frito Bandito and what happened to WC Fritos? And obviously, I know I didn't know until later on when I was older of what happened. So that's a shame. So, oh well, we have YouTube to watch. Anyway, that's it for this show. I'll do a wrap-up of what I talked about today. I talked about television host and Chicago Tribune reporter Robert Cromie. He hosted two TV series, Bookbeat and The Cromie Circle. Both aired in Chicago. Bookbeat aired on WTTW Channel 11, and The Cromie Circle aired on WGN Channel 9. Also, I talked about the pencil erasers from Fritos Corn Chips from the Frito-Lay Company. Okay. This podcast will be published later on today, wherever podcasts are found. Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Breaker, Overcast. Click on any app. You will find them. Just hit follow and you will get a notification of the latest episode. You can listen to previous episodes if you'd like. Also be published on my blog, www.vanishingchicagoland.blog. Also be on my YouTube channel. Again, people have asked me, where do I find your podcast? Where do I find your podcast? People still ask me that. I always send the link. Go to YouTube. Type in Vanishing Chicagoland Stories, the podcast if you like, or my name. You would find it. Click on subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. Nothing. So you can listen to that on YouTube, whatever's easier. It's audio. Also, be sure to my social media accounts, Facebook, X, LinkedIn, Reddit, Threads, Blue Sky, Instagram, and what's the other one? TikTok. I think I got them all. Okay. So, like I said before, this will be published later on today. I will do another podcast this weekend. It's a Memorial Day weekend. Maybe about 2. That'd be fun. And so I will give you an update on tomorrow. What the doctor will say about me. I will post it on my social media account. Yeah, my accounts, that is. Excuse me. I like that. So, because people are very concerned, and I appreciate that. I really do. Okay. This is Speak Astonish, your host of Fan Chicagoland Stories, the podcast. Thank you for joining me. I had a great time. Like I said, today is a nice day. It'll get a little humid. We'll see. It's going to be a nice week. So here's bye-bye for me, and here's Ray Rayner saying, with a little traveling music, saying bye, bye, bye. Take care, everyone, and so long.
We have to go. Bye, bye, bye.